What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel, and for today's video, we will be reacting and watching a short documentary titled Do All Vegans Think the Same? I wanted to make this video to promote awareness to vegans and non-vegans alike. I have not seen the entire video. I did have seen the first two questions already and heard some very interesting answers from this group of people, and it really gives you a perspective of how different we are really. And without further ado, let's get to this video.
A dog or a child in front of me.
You can be vegan
For reasons other than ethical.
3, 2, 1.
I guess it's just like in the definition. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude as far as practicable and possible all forms of animal exploitation and cruelty to animals for any reason, clothing, food. It's about animals being ethical for them.
I didn't become vegan with any sort of ethical reasoning in mind. I just was very sick all the time, and I just had an inclination that if I stopped eating animal byproducts that I would feel better, and I did. And all the ethical reasons came as a result of me looking at my health and seeing that change. I definitely have stayed vegan because of ethical reasons, but I became vegan for my health.
I became vegan for health reasons, but I think the end goal of veganism is animal liberation. So I feel like that's more plant-based when you're vegan for health or vegan for something else, because at the end of the day, we seek to use products that have no animals in them at all.
The reason why I went vegan was for the environment. Climate change is real. You could do more good for the environment by being vegan than giving up your car, which is insane. I guess the ethics came afterwards, which is why I agree with you guys. I feel like we both think the same things, but why I started wasn't for ethics, which is why I'm here.
Okay, that question actually made sense a lot for me when that person about, she went vegan without, the primary reason of animal ethics. For me, it's kind of the same thing. I started going the vegan path mainly because of health. But as I kind of understood what it actually means, it started to evolve to more inclined to animal ethical aspect as well as to the environment. Really, veganism has a lot of impact in terms of that three main categories. as I mentioned, I started on health, but now 3 years over, I would say my kind of priority perspective on veganism really falls down into climate or environmental reason because as I mentioned in past videos that factory farming has a big impact to global warming. And then the second one is about animal ethics, animal cruelty. It really doesn't sit well with me anymore, which is why I have that in the top two. And really, my top three now is health. So it really changes and it really boils down to what is important for you or as an individual, right? And I guess it's the same for these folks. Let's see to the next question.
I will not buy or cook non-vegan items for loved ones.
Okay, that question. Let me go back a little bit. That one, I will not buy or cook non-vegan items for loved ones. That one is actually quite tricky for most, but for me personally, I will not buy non-vegan items with my own money. If for some reason someone asks me to buy something that is non-vegan, I will not volunteer of doing that for you unless you're paying it for yourself. Because in my mind, if I'm not paying for it, then I'm not contributing to it. Now there are going to be a backlash to what I just said because some vegans might say, or yeah, might say that I am enabling these people, but really it's their decision in life. Really, I'm not the type of vegan who would enforce my outlook or my lifestyle to someone who's not want to explore this kind of lifestyle. I would probably discuss this with someone who's actually interested to know the different details of being a vegan rather than pushing my belief to someone who's, I guess, not open-minded. And then the next one says that cooking non-vegan items. This one is a hard no for me. I will not cook any non-vegan items for anybody at this point in my life. That's just given.
Non-vegan items for loved ones. Three, two,
Let's see what they say.
This one's tough because I've bought like a chicken burrito for my brother. He would go get it anyway, and that's maybe not the best way to go about it. Maybe I should deter him, but the way I try to promote my diet is just by being an example and not by forcing it into someone else, because I just think that if maybe like I had bought a vegan burrito, he would just like be resentful of veganism even more because he didn't get what he wanted.
Buying it or preparing animal products or anything that's not vegan for somebody is enabling them to
See, that's what I just said. It really it depends on the perspective of the person. It would seem like you are enabling it if you're buying something non-vegan for someone else or cooking it for someone else. But for me, I guess what I just said, I can buy it for you if it is spent by your own money, but I will definitely not cook anything non-vegan for anybody.
fund the very oppression that I'm against. Like for me, I've taken the liberation pledge. So like I'll refuse to eat at a table where people are eating animal products. In my mind, it's the same thing as if like you're eating a dog or a child in front of me. You're not gonna wanna like stay at that table and be with that. You're gonna wanna like try to change those people.
Okay, so if you're gonna try to change people, don't you think it'd be beneficial to sit with them, because then you could expose them to your point of view?
So actually, every single person that I've told the Liberation Pledge about, they've had no problem changing their meals and going to vegan restaurants with me. If you care about me as a person, how could you not change one meal?
My approach is like leading by example, right? All of my family knows you're not going to come to my house and bring any animals in or ask me to prepare it, but I do a lot of cooking. So I think what has brought me a lot of joy is like taking everything that I know my family loves to eat and veganizing it. And I've seen like my mom, my dad, and my brother, who I never thought would go vegan in a million years, go vegan. And I do know that if I would have had the approach of like judging them or, you know, coming too aggressive, it would not have been met with love or understanding at all. Not forcing it on them, it has actually helped them come over to the dark side.
I actually like what her answer more than the guy at the back. But yeah, I for one have not really done that liberation pledge at all. I can definitely sit with someone on a restaurant and be on the same table as someone who is non-vegan. If you just like tease me on what's in front of me, that's just not gonna end well. I will probably get upset for sure because it just means that you don't respect me as a person because this is what I believe in. And for someone to to tease me about something, and it's just all about respect for each individuals. I remember when I was in Atlanta, most of my colleagues and friends there, they do acknowledge, and it was a good experience for me because they would go out of their way to come with me on going to a vegan restaurant and then trying some vegan meals with me, which is very encouraging because there are people actually, these people actually cared and acknowledge that what I believe in is something that they can kind of look into. So, but really, the last person we would just spoke, the lady with the gray hat, that's my kind of way to lead by example. I'm basically veganizing most of the meals that I used to eat or share with people, coming up with different recipes, researching about it, and then once I actually make it palatable, because sometimes there are failed recipes that I've made that doesn't really taste good, but if I do have some success on a certain recipe, then those are the things that I will serve to my family or my friends.
You are still vegan if you allow yourself exception occasion.
What? Before we watch their responses, um, I will predict that the guy from the back will disagree with this one for sure because he did the liberation pledge, and I would probably agree to that because once you go vegan, there's no exemption or occasional occurrence that you will not be vegan for a specific day or a specific hour. It's not a diet. Vegan is a lifestyle. You might make some mistakes when you're in a restaurant without unknowingly eating something that has some sort of dairy on it or some sort of fish sauce. So those are kind of the learning curve, which is what I mentioned a couple of from my previous video, that it's a learning process and it just boils down to asking the question. But I would almost predict that guy from the back will disagree with this one. I think most of them will disagree on this one.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Where do you draw the line then, I guess? Like you're bending your own morals every once in a while. It's
Agree.
the same thing with like meatless Mondays. Like we don't have like homophobic free Tuesdays. Like it's every day
What?
is homophobia free, right? So like it's the same thing for me. If like you slip up, it's like saying like, oh yeah, I just am like totally fine with certain amounts of exploitation if I'm doing it.
Say you're traveling and it's genuinely hard to find like vegan food. You can't like survive on like just like lettuce all the time. And in certain like cultures, like say like China, like it's really hard to find something without meat.
I've grown up in different countries and surrounded by different cultures, and we live in a place where veganism is almost mainstream and it's super accessible, but there's developing countries where that's just not the case.
Even though like Beyond Burgers, Gardein, like those aren't accessible worldwide, we have fruits and vegetables everywhere. And like, I don't want to just tell everyone to only eat like
There's food
basic
deserts
plants.
though, and in
but-
food deserts that's not necessarily always true. Because I've been in these situations where it's just not really a sustainable option to feed yourself 100% vegan.
Is it more of like a convenience thing, or is it more of a like, it's really, there's literally nothing available? There's not a banana or an apple or a bean.
I spent 3 months near the Arctic Circle in Iceland, and in Iceland, their diet is just, it's such a cold climate. It's all like sheep, fish, you know, it's really dairy, because
But they don't
that's
have
what the
any fruits or
land,
vegetables out there whatsoever at all?
the climate doesn't allow for that unless you're building greenhouses, which, you know, is like how they're moving. But in remote villages where there's only 20 people, you know, you can forage flowers to make tea and like little berries here and there, but that doesn't sustain people for the kind of climate that they experience.
Okay, before we go to that next question, that actually makes sense. I think I mentioned this, or maybe I didn't. Veganism is not applicable to everybody. There's are factors such as what that lady mentioned, wherein there's food desert. There's really no available options for them. And on that guy's perspective, you know, these beyond impossible, these are, yes, they are available globally, but for populated or metropolitan areas, I would say, comparing to the sample of that person who was actually in the Arctic, that kind of makes sense, because really it's so cold that you can't grow anything, can't grow crops because it's so cold, right? I guess this one is really hard, but for me, on how I would handle this is, oh man, that this is really hard. But for me, if I were to travel abroad or a foreign country, I would definitely do my research first. If this country is something that I can really go to and prevent me from having no options at all. So, for example, if I were to go to Korea or some sort of Vietnam, I know these countries are vegetable heavy or fruits. So I'll definitely go there. But if we have some sort of travel to the Arctic or to the desert, I might think twice to go there because um you know, there's food that she mentioned about food desert and food availability. Then if I have an option, then I will not go there. It really goes down to research, really, for you to handle that. And as I mentioned, for me, I would definitely do a research on a certain location first before I go there, because I don't want to be stuck in a position wherein I would be questioning my survival versus my beliefs. So that's tough one. Definitely, it's a case to case or situational thing, especially for, I guess, third world countries, wherein meat is probably more cheaper and more available than vegetables and fruits. But to most metropolitan area, such as here in Metro Manila or in Atlanta when I was in the US, pretty much everything is available. So I would say I had the privilege of access to these foods, which enabled me to be vegan. But to those who are not privileged or who are in poverty, you know, you can't really enforce this particular lifestyle to them. Maybe some bright mind person who can think of an idea on how to resolve that, but that's a tough one. Next question. I've been bullied for being vegan. Just no, for me, I've never encountered that. Um, there are some snarky comments, but not really
Where I come from, Orange
bullied.
County, is just a really nice place to be vegan. People really understand
Yeah,
why people are
similar
vegan.
to
Every
me.
now and then you get the, bro, you look like you need a hamburger, but I mean, it's not
Yeah,
that bad.
exactly.
I
The
became
snarky
vegan
comments.
in 2006, and I didn't know anybody else who didn't eat meat or was vegan. Like, I got left out of like a lot of dinner plans and stuff like that with family and friends. They didn't want to pick somewhere that I could also eat at. They wanted to stay with what they wanted to eat. I don't think that I feel bullied for being vegan now, but when I first became vegan, I definitely did.
I get people who try to take like my blackness away. They'll say, you're not black if you're vegan. How can you be black and vegan? And it really does mess with your head. I'll get a lot of social media bullying to the point where sometimes it does affect my mental health just because I try to be a good person, but just someone finds out you're vegan and it's like the world hates you, and I think it's really easy to bully people online.
If you wear leather,
I guess I'm on the lucky part compared to these folks. Oh man, that is so sad that they had to deal with that. Hopefully, I'm so lucky, I guess.
you are not a vegan.
Oh, sorry, what was the question? If you wear leather, you are not vegan. Yes, definitely. Let's see what they say.
Leather, you are not a vegan. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I agree
I
on
think
this
if you
one.
consciously consume leather and buy it and wear it because you want to and you're conscious of that choice, then it's not vegan. But the way our society is structured, there's so many accidental cases in which you could be owning or wearing a vegan thing. Like you ride a bike, a lot of bike seats are leather, and it's hard to always know exactly what you're purchasing.
To me, it's like just not fair to the animals for us to like abuse our own ignorance and not actually take the time to research.
I think
Yeah.
people do have it.
I agree what he said. That's mostly me. I would do my research if I were to buy something. Again, it's a learning process, but ignorance is not good in terms of, I don't know. I'm definitely agreeing with that guy. I do own like leather shoes and leather jackets before I went vegan. I still do have them stored somewhere, but not wearing them anymore. It's just, I don't know.
Excuses, especially in like poorer neighborhoods, are working so much they don't have the time to consciously go out and research about veganism. I think that's more of an issue that comes when you have more income and more choice. And I just want to say, yeah, by the way, this is fake leather, this is fake leather.
Don't tear them apart in the comments.
Yeah, please guys.
I think it's really important though that we like have a very clear message of what veganism is, because when we start to make excuses, then people who aren't vegan and are just learning about it, they have a confused message of what it is.
Yeah, I would agree. You're better. Oh my God, the most controversial question. Before we go to the video, I would not say I am a better person than a non-vegan. I would just say that I am more consciously aware of my decision than this non-vegan. But I'm definitely not saying I am better than my friends who are not vegan. It is so controversial, but most extreme vegans think this way because they believe that they are in the right instead of really creating a path for non-vegans to see what this lifestyle is all about. So that's what I would say on that particular question. It's very controversial, but anyway, let's see what they say. Yeah, I'm on the
So I wouldn't say like
disagree
I'm a
part.
better person than other people in general, but me as an individual, I am a better person than I ever was before, and I guarantee.
Okay, if I am comparing it to myself like 3 years back, I'm definitely compare my 25-year-old self saying that to my current self now, I am definitely a better person if I'm comparing to myself, but to other people, I no comment.
That anyone who goes vegan will be a better version of themselves.
I think I'm a better person because I'm vegan, but I know vegans who are racist and homophobic, and
Okay,
to
yeah.
me, they aren't good people. I think they make
There are
good
different
choices
factors to be
when it comes
a better
to
person.
what they consume.
I think to be vegan, which is why I was in somewhat disagree, because I feel like if you're racist and you're homophobic or you're an oppressor, I'd feel like that's very anti-vegan. Just in my personal opinion, I feel like vegan is an anti-discrimination, anti-oppression movement. It's really hard to be racist and be vegan. I would not consider you vegan if you're homophobic or racist or something like that, because we are animals. How can you be discriminating against humans in that form? So that's why I'm here, someone who's truly vegan, who is of those values, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like they're better, but I feel like they are a good person.
I love learning from you guys.
Those are good questions, man.
Yeah, group hug, group
There's so much diversity.
hug.
Now, those are some interesting questions. I'm glad I did this, and I hope also you did learn something about veganism. It's really quite interesting how different we are in terms of how we see things, but really, we are all vegans, and we do believe that, in a way, veganism is the path forward because it affects climate change. It affects, voice for the voiceless in terms of animal ethics, as well as it enables us to get more out of our health. Yeah, I am very happy I did this. Again, I hope that you guys also learned something from this video. I'll probably do another react if I do find something similar to this. I do want to answer those kind of questions as well to see how much I actually know. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that is it for today. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And do leave down a comment below if there's something that you would like to see on this video. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace!